Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hugh. So, we learned in the last monologue that the ring, Hugh's mother, it turned out she was the mother, not a lover, and Hugh is a child and not just a short man. It's kind of hard at the beginning to figure that out. She created some ring, which is probably what we're doing here, that lets her see and remember in color. Which, at some point, something happened in this world that eliminated the memory of color and the ability to see color in everybody else. There is a potential spooking element to this in reality, in that the incredibly expensive, probably not going to be widely adopted Apple VR headset has a mode in its pass-through mode where, interesting, I was holding X and it was just toggling back and forth. You're supposed to just really tap it, and that is rough. Tapping it turns off all the lasers, it looks like. Yep. But yeah, the Apple pass-through mode does potentially change the appearance or change what you're looking at. So if at some point technology got cheap enough and commonplace enough, maybe people in some distant future would be wearing VR goggles, or maybe even brain implants or contacts that would change what they're seeing. And if that technology did come about, almost certainly there would be some dictator somewhere that would, there'd probably be somebody like China, almost certainly, that would opt to use that as an excuse to censor out as much as possible. There's a lot of background. Yeah, it's in the game. There's little robotic background sound effects I'm hearing. Okay. Well, is there anything else to this? Yeah, I screwed up here, didn't I? We needed those two out of the way. Come over here and we'll turn that to yellow. At the current moment, though, there's probably no real fear of there being a good enough technology that censorship happens, and at a certain point, if technology just can expand to every person's imagination, there will be just computer chips. And like a Black Mirror episode where, well, you have a little bit of room in between all this. where somebody could put in a chip into its citizens. There's a whole episode like that where a parent puts a chip into the brain of a kid, and the kid just never learns fear or feels pain. Which they were saying that this ancient society that knew of colors but didn't know of pain, maybe that's part of the situation with them, is that they've got some kind of pain preventing feature element, or whether it's electronical or magical. This puzzle in particular feels too slow. Yeah. Okay. We are just getting like a weird plumbing dripping sound effect now. That's not gonna work, is it? We're gonna have to turn the lasers back on. We're gonna have to push this. So let's make sure it comes back with us, because we're gonna have to do quite a lot here. Gonna have to land on that platform. And then what we're gonna do is drop down on the other platform when it comes back, and we're gonna grab the box and pull it. So we have to do quite a lot fairly quickly there. Is there perhaps another way this can go? I don't see it. I wish these boxes might slide, but that would be a very different type of game at that point. Okay. It feels like you have to pull. Pushing will only get you so far. You might be able to nudge it a little bit further and just get like to that point. But I can't press X fast enough to grab the box and move it. Now I'm just trying to rush. That's not gonna play. Yeah. We can't have too much of this going on. Yeah, it definitely feels like there's a danger that might just be the rest of this game. Alright, so I gotta experiment with something here. If I was to turn the laser off. Just there. Then get the box here. Could I jump? Yeah, we have a fairly wide jump, but not that wide. This is about as far as it can go. Just make sure that there isn't another box of the same color. It's not like there's a platform. Move. We can't just swap over on that or do anything over here. Push this as far over to that spot. Yeah, my baser instinct here is to just say the game is getting too hard on how fast you have to swap and how fast you have to move. What if we were to, say, block the reds? That buys us some extra time and buys us some extra space. That is very possibly the move here. Just to do something like that and then cross over, and then that gives us that extra space we needed to grab the box quickly. And so we may even need to swap from red to blue. I could definitely see myself whining, though. Or screwing up. Yeah, I could definitely have seen myself just whining a lot on that and just assuming that there was no other solution. Whereas now that I've thought of using the reds, it seems it's pretty obvious that that filtering out the reds and giving yourself more space is the right move. Just gotta carefully get to this point. Alright. You can just push the box perfectly. Block the laser, yellow laser. Now I don't want to, I just want to take this slow and let it cycle. I don't want to try and do this too fast. Okay. My question, I guess, might be, do I want to swap to blues at this point? And start pushing. I got lucky there. I very easily could have ended up falling. Now I still think you kind of want blues. It'll be blue, it'll be reds on the other side of it, though. When we go back. Problem here, it's gonna be annoying, is if we die on the way back. Because we've got to push this whole block back when it's done. We also can't turn off the lasers, so we're gonna have to just jump on the platform as it's moving to get to the key. This is another example, I think, of where the game might get too platformy at the end, and so somebody was just expecting puzzling, and then all of a sudden you've got what could be described as frustration, precision platforming requirements. And that is a thing I try to actively avoid, as I don't really want to play a frustration platformer. Like, or a precision platformer. I'm just not that good at platforming. If I had left the area after I'd gotten the key, would it have saved the key? Probably not. I would assume that I would have had to reset all my progress after that point. So I know what to do. It's just a matter of pulling it off. It does feel like at this point you should swap, just for that one brief second to get to that. I'm moving too fast for my own safety. It's just not time efficient at all to try and move fast. Yes, you may get lucky, but more than likely you aren't going to get lucky. And then you're going to have to start all over again. I would say usually the strategy is try to get it done on the first try, just being more quick about it and less cautious about it. And then by the time after that first death, you probably need to just take it slow. And that's probably the case for any game. Push that when I really shouldn't have. Just gonna go quiet here and put as much of my focus on actually accomplishing this. Swap over here. That's not a lot of room. Swap this. It's not a lot of room either way. Definitely didn't feel like a room that was going to take that much time. Yet this has eaten up a big chunk of an episode just getting from this point to the other point. And it's a fairly small room where most of these other platforming difficult sections have been rather giant rooms. Don't get nervous here. Only one more thing. Okay. We got it. So the switch here is almost like a red herring. Like, it doesn't actually play any role, at least progressing through this area forward. Maybe it makes some sense to switch here in case we have to go back to this area. Now they're introducing conveyor belts. So you almost have like a Donkey Kong feel to this whole thing. Let's see, red lets us reach this. Yellow lets us reach this. So this whole deal with all this. Lasers to kill you. So I guess we're going up this way first. Okay. So I see a red box. I see a drop point where you might be able to drop down from somewhere else later. Everything's now gone. Which we need it on. And then I think the move here is probably to move around back to where we were. Start with. Can I jump from the ladder over here? Yes. Can I now turn on red and get over to that spot? No. I think I probably made a mistake here. think I'm probably supposed to just be on this other side. Yeah, actually it would have been super easy to just have gone in red mode to get on the other side of the square. And let's see, you can go in the red mode to get to this spot. Then you can collect the key. We can go in the red mode to hit this. Now what's weird on this is it definitely was giving me the impression that I needed to do something more, and I guess I do need to do something more. Either I'm supposed to drop the red box down that laser hole, which I don't think is the move, or I'm supposed to move the red box now back around to make a platform, which that does make more sense. And there's another whole secret thing here. Let's get this last flask for this area. I think this might be the last flask for this area. Which will leave only 2 areas. I still feel like the flasks don't really play a role. You could easily see how flasks, levers, laser projectors all could be just pre-made assets. Light bulbs, all of them. Really could just be pre-made assets. Okay. So the move is to jump from a platform here. Then we're going to just let this drop. There. Then we'll push that down there. And then the only thing to avoid is just jumping into the spikes. And so that was not anywhere as difficult as a final puzzle as what we had done previously. So we are in this weird position now where you have this fast travel and a note, and we'll listen to it, I guess. And then the move is going to want to push us. The game is going to want to push us to the last couple of locations. Which, should we finish the story or should we get all the flasks first? It does seem like if there are 10 more flasks in 2 more locations, we might find these last 2 locations just so incredibly frustrating that we don't even care about getting the flasks in the last 2 locations, which would make it pointless to get the remaining 6 flasks in the previous areas. So we probably should go forward. Plus there is that possibility, on top of frustration, there's just a possibility that the game might teach us some new ability or give us some new ability that lets us get the flasks or identify which areas have flasks in them, all of which could be really helpful.
The more I experienced, the more I realized how little I was experiencing. Seeing the world in true colour was not true at all. The goalposts had just been moved a little further down an infinite playing field. These shades, they are a paradigm away from what I could ever imagine. And yet, how much more there must be? Is there ever such a thing as true reality, Hugh? Does truth exist in our minds the same way that colour does? Maybe next I'll stumble upon a third dimension. Could you imagine?
So this is a two-dimensional world, and there's something here. Very obviously. How would we reach it? I'm also seeing clouds and things around everywhere. So this is a two-dimensional monochromic world that somehow also knows of Jackson Pollock as an artist. And she discovered, I'm just falling around the edges here just to see if I guess this may just be, I don't know, a new art style. It's transitioning the rocks away to a different style, which these tile sets on the rocks are kind of unnecessary and very ugly in their monochromatic appearance, regardless of how you highlight the colors. They'd only really be necessary if you were playing more of a Metroidvania game where you were going back and forth between different sections over and over again. You can see that the edges of the rocks here feel like they're starting to even crack away to the point where you could escape, and we're seeing some dripping water, which the dripping water is yet another feature that's visually there but doesn't do anything. Let's see, the lights has come on. Finally, the boats can come into the harbor. And we can see that the light is just a pure white light. I guess maybe the idea was to move away from using white and black as one of the selectable things here, because that would be, hey Hugh, it was you? You turned the power back on? Well, I'll be, thank you. The fishermen are back now. They got quite lost, I believe. So we're just going to go through that boat, and that's going to take us to the next area, I would guess. This guy probably still doesn't have anything new to say. And there's probably nothing new here. You have this wishing well that's interesting, but doesn't do anything. And so we could go back to the cave, but we can also just fast travel to the cave at the end of the game. So, from the looks of it, yes, we're missing 6 flasks, but we're going to go via the fishing boat either to an island and then start playing a level there, or we're going to play a level on the fishing boat or on the ocean, which would be a little interesting. It could be very dangerous though if all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of on the ocean platforming going on in just a lot of places where you can fall down. I would kind of hope we're done with lasers, but that we didn't see quite enough Rube Goldberg machines to satisfy me, or laser puzzles to satisfy me. Let's call them the right thing, actually. But yeah, this isn't a laser puzzle game, so I can't really complain too much there. My hope, though, is that we would go to a new area and see a new gimmick. At some level, we are seeing the best of the best that this game developer could make with each temple and each gimmick in each temple. So if they did double the number of levels, I would heavily suspect it would just be twice as many levels, half as good, which isn't going to make the game any better if they had done that. That is often what I think a lot of developers do, is that they have a target amount of playtime and they stretch to fill it in. And this game is definitely stretching to make the playtime longer. We are 8 episodes in at the moment, so if each episode has been half an hour, we've been playing for about 4 hours. If we were actually about 3.5 hours in, I think I'd be a little bit happier, particularly in this episode where I spent a long time on that one puzzle. There was a fairly high difficulty spike on that one puzzle area. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, and keep on watching. Thanks.